Hey, y'all, listen. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. Welcome into the building. Happy Friday. I'm glad to see you here. It's late. This the late train. Okay? It's a late, hopefully express train. Okay? But it's the late train. So I'm glad to see y'all in the building with me. Thanks for being here. Listen, people, we got stuff to talk about. It's Friday night trending topics, and welcome in the building. The title is real simple, real easy. It's called Delusional. Delusional. They said Diddy rejected a plea deal. But see, you know what? One day, someday, y'all gonna give me my flowers. Y'all gonna give me my flowers. I told y'all way back when that he is not going to take a plea deal. I was like, nah, Diva, yes, he will if he's offered it or whatever. I say he's not going to do a plea deal. And I also told you that he wasn't going to dime nobody out. I told y'all that. Now, I'm still working out what I feel, how this thing is going to go. And the reason why I'm still trying to work that out is because there was so many cases before his where I thought it was going to go one way and it went the other way, and the people's running the streets right now. But he rejected the plea deal. In Diddy's mind, he has done nothing wrong. And see, many people are going by the street rumors. And of course, of the street rumors, they said Diddy's guilty. They need to lock him up. But see, what you got to understand is we're in the court of law now. And the things that they are accusing him of, that he has charges on, it has nothing to do with the street rumors. People are saying he has something to do with Biggie's unaliving, Tupac's unaliving, his baby mama, Kim Porter's unaliving, but that's not what he's behind bars for. He's behind bars for RICO charges, racketeering. And if we can lock men up just because they was bad partners, well, I don't know how many men would be left on the streets. The latest thing now is they saying, oh, he forced one of the victims to have a medical procedure. Well, see, what they're not used to is the fact that a lot of the people on the YouTube, we done saw the Cassie lawsuit. And she says she was forced to get booze. So we already know they're talking about Cassie. And again, to me, they're throwing a lot of stuff in this case. But what does that have to do with the RICO charges? But I think they're trying to put that into the ST charges. The S trafficking. But either way, tonight we're here to talk about he rejected a plea deal, and he only got about what? How many days? Maybe 10 days, and his trial is starting. This is going to be interesting. Every day, probably every minute, every second, we're going to hear something new in the news about this Diddy situation. But the trial is starting. And he rejected the plea deal. And I bet you they didn't give us the details of the deal he rejected. But because I believe it was still going to have him serving a lot of time. And that's why he was like, heck to the no. He really ain't got much to lose in this situation because Diddy's 50. He's his mid-50s, right? So if they're giving you a plea deal that says 10 years, you 65. But if you get off, you 56. And you can go on about your business. So it's interesting. We're going to talk about it. Diddy rejects the plea deal. Then we got Shannon Sharpe. And, you know, like many people like to say, unfortunately, he's not that sharp. Something upstairs ain't connecting with him. And, you know, if I look at both Diddy and Shannon Sharpe and put them together as one, both of them probably had some addictions that they didn't resolve. got some addictions. And you know, most people, when they're addicted to stuff, and I'm not saying Shannon Sharpe is addicted to substances or anything like that. Addiction is addiction. I got an addiction to Starbucks. And every day I talk myself off the ledge and be like, don't go get 3, maybe get 1. Before I used to, I mean, they knew my name. Hey, Diva, you want the same thing? You want a venti? But I have since backed away. I go, but I do not go like I used to go. I was probably dropping a bill money up in Starbucks, but not no more. So I'm just saying addictions. Diddy is known, was heavily addicted to drugs. And it altered that mind. Shannon Sharpe, at the very least, we probably know he's addicted to a sex. And he seems allegedly to be addicted to want to put his hands around people's necks. They said when he was on the show Undisputed, it's alleged that Shannon Sharpe, come on now, Miss Amy, I got a little shopping addiction. It's a little one, but I got one. It's alleged that Shannon Sharpe and Fox had to pay a staffer because Shannon Sharpe allegedly thought he was just going to put his hands around the person, around their neck. He got a problem up here. It appears. Like I say, appears and allegedly. And the delusion comes in that he thinks he's going to step down and somehow this thing is going to resolve itself, blow over, and all is going to be well. Well, let me tell you, what do they call that? The ripple effect, and there's some other names for it. Once one person speaks out, it encourages others to come. That's where the whole Me Too movement came from, and say, you know what? He did it to me too. Now, maybe he might not get a lot of Me Too's because the crumbs on the street is saying that he paid off about 23 people. And that's why I guess he thought he was going to pay little mama off and he was just going to go about his business and get his $100 million contract. The ghosts of the past will catch up with you. They said what goes up must come down. That's why they tell people, watch how you treat people, because you may have to bump back into them on the way down. You're treating them like trash, and next thing you know, they above you, and you at their mercy. So Shannon Sharpe, at 56, his past is coming to slap him in the face. Bill Cosby, what, in his late 70s, now he's in his 80s, and he's dealing with a wicked past. George Foreman, he left this world with lingering accusations that he SA'd some people. What's his name? Russell Simmons. He's over in Bali, namasteing, and he got his kids over here. He claims he comes back as he wishes and pleases. But for the most part, he ain't leaving Bali. Why? Because he got those lingering accusations that he's running from. These men have very bad behaviors. Thinking they could just grab, you know, they say you can appreciate the person who shows you who they are. Call Trump what you want, but he shows you who he is. You don't have to guess. Trump said, I like to grab them. They like to be grabbed by the poom poom. That's what he said. But you got these other ones in our face, like they helping people, they so loving, they so kind, they got a wife, they got a kids, and in the meantime, in the office, they violating everybody, traumatizing people. And it's not just the celebrities. Remember that chief of police in New York? He bending people over in the office. And he married. He got his boo things lined up in the office and tell them, this is how you're going to get your money. Just put in fake overtime. And then they had no boundaries because they had to the tune of $200,000 in overtime. Now, I worked a lot of jobs and did a lot of overtime. I ain't never. And I don't know how you could make $200,000 in OT. How you making more than your boss, because by the time they add your regular salary and your OT, you at $400K a year. NYPD. That's why if they think you went through a stop sign, they stopping you because they need this money to pay that overtime bill. Giving you a $400 ticket, then you got to go to night court, then you got to get a lawyer, then you got to try to plead so you don't get no points on your license. And why? Because you got these people faking overtime. Come on, Katrina, they never slept. They work 24 hours a day. It's ridiculous. So the predators are everywhere. They at the low end corporate America offices, the Targets, the Walmarts, the Starbucks, all the way up to the entertainment industry. It seems like there's a blueprint in that industry. But again, I will say this to anybody that wants to listen. If you don't put money as your top priority, you may not find yourself in these bad situations. She said 25 per cheek. I don't care who you are, what you look like. There will always be somebody that want to sleep with you. You ain't got to pay for sex. And I know everybody keep telling me, well, Diva, he was into this, he was into that, blah, 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 do. You can still find somebody to do all of that and not have to pay. And when she's telling you to deposit a baby in her and you don't know what that's about, you don't know it's about money. Like we said the other night, an old fool. An old fool. But listen, people, I done talked enough and I'm trying to call myself having an express train, okay? So I'm about to bring the people in the building. I need a what in the chat? I need a choo-choo. All aboard, everybody. It is Friday night trending topics and we got stuff to talk about. The title is called Delusional. You got Diddy rejecting the plea deal. You got Shannon Sharpe. Now it's all kind of stuff is coming out. They saying he paid somebody before because he decided in the office, in the workplace, he was going to choke somebody. Let me bring the people in here. Leo, how you doing? Hey, Wayne. Hey, Savannah.
Hey, Diva.
Hey, My Opinion. Hey, Felicia. Hey, Julie. Hey, Katrina.
Hey, y'all.
Hey, Diva. Hey, panel. Hey, chat. Chew. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Hey, Jules.
Happy Friday.
Listen, y'all, I just finished earlier tonight. I did a panel on Juice Show. We streamed it to all of the platforms for all the people that was on the panel. We had a good talk about Shannon Sharpe. So Shannon Sharpe is trending now like Diddy was trending when that whole thing came out. You know, these men, they love to trend for the wrong things, but we're going to get into it. Let's go ahead and start with Diddy. So Diddy, you know, his trial is coming up May 5th. His team tried to get more time because they wasn't ready. and I don't know if they are ready. How you got 5 law firms and you're not ready? I don't know. But listen, hey, this is Diddy and this is his life. They did offer him a plea deal. They didn't give us the details of the plea deal, but I bet you it's going to eventually come out. So they offered him a plea deal, and he said no. He said no. Is he being delusional? Is he being strategic? Do he know something we don't know? Or is he just extremely hopeful that at the end of the day, he's going to be found out guilty? Now, they lost their round to not have this Cassie beaten video be part of the trial. So that's a lose for him. So Diddy lawyers say he rejected a plea deal, argue he's a swinger, not a criminal. So Diddy rejected a plea deal federal prosecutors offered him, and his lawyers have shown their hand on the main crux of their defense, claiming he's simply a swinger, not a criminal. The rap mogul was in Manhattan Courthouse Friday morning for a hearing that touched a series of topics, during which Rolling Stones reports his prosecutors revealed they offered Diddy a deal, and he flat out turned it down. No further details of the deal have been made public, but it's long believed that Diddy was offered one, and now we know those rumors are true. Diddy's team also argued he may have lived a swinger lifestyle, but he's never done anything inappropriate or criminal. Excuse me. With the head of his legal team, with Mark, adding being a swinger is so common, the mogul probably didn't think twice about it. Prosecutors argued that they didn't want the defense to use other examples of other prominent people hiring prostitutes. And Mark assured the court he wouldn't, though he did say he was entitled to establish that some alleged behavior was part of the lifestyle. Among the other things discussed during the hearing, prosecutors claim Diddy may have made one of the alleged victims get a medical procedure. Well, we already know they're talking about Cassie and these breast implants that they claim he made her get, which they say is related to the sex trafficking charges he's facing. So they're probably going to argue that, you know what, he kind of had her as his puppet, as his doll, and he was, made her get these implants because he needed her to look a certain way so he can ST her. The judge is also allowing prosecutors to show the video of Diddy beating up Cassie. And prosecutors say the person who filmed the surveillance video on an iPhone 6 will testify. Cassie is scheduled to testify against Diddy, along with 3 other alleged victims who are all supposed to remain anonymous during the trial. Diddy has pled not guilty to all 5 charges he's facing: 2 counts of trafficking, 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution, and 1 count of racketeering. The trial is scheduled to begin on May 5th. Leo, your thoughts?
I find it interesting that he didn't take the plea deal. I find it interesting, not because I didn't think that he would or wouldn't take it. I find it interesting that he was offered one for some reason. Because they all, I was just thinking, wasn't they supposed to have the goods on them?
Mm-hmm.
I thought they that's what they were all of this time. I would have thought they would have had the goods on. I don't know. I don't know. I just found it interesting that they offered him a plea deal. Yeah, well, he turned it down, so he ready to face the music. And hopefully the victims will be able to have their day in court. We're gonna see. I personally feel like it's gonna be a circus. Right? It's going to be a complete circus. I can't wait to see the live footage of what did it look like. Y'all reckon we gonna get some real live footage?
We're not. No cameras are going to be in the courtroom. We're only going to get those, the artists that sketch when they're in there. That's why we're only being those artist sketches now. And we're going to have to rely on whoever, like the court reporters or whoever gets in there when they come out each day to tell us what happened. It's no live footage.
So, I don't know. Here in North Carolina, when you go to trial, you get a new mugshot. So I don't know what they do in New York, but yeah, when you go to trial, you get a different mugshot. Like yeah. You get they get you all gussied up. You get you because you're going to trial too at the same time, so they get you a new mugshot. Just in case you get off, they got a fresh look of you. You know what I mean? Or just in case you're going back up the river, they got a fresh look, for you. So I don't know. Anyway, hopefully I feel kind of half and half. I don't know. I don't know what this thing is gonna look like. I kind of feel like once you think sometimes you think they got it in the bag, the prosecution, and then it turned up something else. So I don't know. So we'll see.
Thank you. Wayne, your thoughts?
It doesn't surprise me if he believes that he's just guilty of being a swinger, and he wholeheartedly believes that. I can see why he would turn down the plea deal. I think they don't have what they really want,
Agreed.
and I think Diddy knows that. So I think he just take his chances on what he believes, and like he said, he believes he's a swinger, and he hadn't done nothing wrong. So I guess he standing on business.
I guess so. Listen, time will tell. Felicia, your thoughts?
Hey, good evening, everybody. Happy Friday. If I was Mr. Combs, I wouldn't have taken a plea deal. No, nope. I've survived this long in here. We've been waiting for the 13-year-old and the 9-year-old, and we've been waiting for the Jane Does and the John Does to be named and to give more data and more information. We've been asking for the weaponry and the violent armory. We didn't get that. The one person that they do have, what's his name? Brandon, the drug mule. He might say, well, he gave me money. I purchased XYZ for him. And I think he's taking a roll of the die, and I think he's trusting Donnie J, and he's going to get pardoned. So I'm done.
Thank you. I appreciate you. You know where I think he's lucky too. Diddy never handed over no money to nobody. What's that house manager name? She did all the doings like that. He always had somebody else doing the work. And the money that these individuals, or even according to Rodney in his lawsuit, the money that these individuals were paid allegedly came from the companies and all of that, and it was orchestrated through Christina. So maybe he's also counting on that, because at the end of the day, you can't back it up to him, I guess, directly. I don't know. In my opinion, your thoughts?
Well, you can bag it up to it because remember he made that tweet and they made that public that he made the tweet. He couldn't do nothing without her. I feel like he playing Russian roulette. And hey, it's a gamble. It's a 50-50 gamble. And I just feel like sometimes you win and sometimes you lose. We just don't know what side of the dice he gonna end up on. But good luck.
Thank you so much. So the federal judges have fought for cameras for years, but lots of states are now fighting to get cameras in federal cases to let people see what's going on. Yeah, you know what? Maybe I'm thinking because a lot of people turn, like, for lack of a better word, I can't think of another word right now, they snitch. So maybe they don't want, and then if you are Jane Doe or John Doe, whatever, they can't be having the cameras in there. They would have to ask the cameras to leave. I don't know. I'm trying to figure this out in my head. Savannah, your thoughts?
I think that as we all know, there was a lot of people in high places at these parties because these have gone on for decades. And I think that Diddy holds a Pandora's box of very sick, twisted, powerful people. And he did right by not taking the plea deal. I think Diddy's waiting for um, I think in the end, I think he also knows that the case is not that strong. Besides what they have from Cassie, the others have proven to be more of these fables that lawyers like. What was that first one with Rodney and now Busby? I just think this is all a money grab in regards to the others, besides what we have all witnessed with Cassie. I think Diddy holds a lot of secrets, and all the way up to even number 47 and his children attending these parties. And he's just waiting on someone to open the door to his cell.
It set him free. Thank you, Savannah. Julius, your thoughts?
This case is madness. Okay. He didn't accept the plea deal. He thinks he's standing in his assumption he's a swinger. Okay. But it's just a hot mess. And it makes me queasy.
Thank you. Katrina, your thoughts?
If I was, I'm trying to figure out where they gonna find the jury from. Like everybody know about Diddy, and you have to be biased. So where they getting these people from? Where they gonna get them from? And then another thing, I wouldn't want no cameras in the courtroom either because I wouldn't want nobody to see me on that jury and somebody put a hit out on me, or try to intimidate me. I wouldn't want to be in there. I wouldn't want no cameras on me. Um, but they saying they're getting for RICO charges, but he's saying he's a swinger. So what do that got to do with the RICO?
Well, the whole case really don't seem to have nothing to do with the RICO, because for the RICO, it's supposed to be an enterprise. We're the enterprise. We didn't hear about nobody else being locked up.
That's what I'm trying to figure out. Like he's going in saying he's not a criminal, he's a swinger. So I'm thinking like, are they saying that he was STN people or what? Because I'm not getting it. I'm not getting like no pow pows. I'm not. Well, I know they said they had them too, but RICO charges mean that it's an organization like John Gotti and Young Thug them. I'm not getting this. They only got one person. When they round up Young Thug crew, it was like what, 90 of them? Almost 90, if not 20, 25. It was a lot of them. So I'm just trying to figure out his charges because he keeps saying he a swinger and they saying you got RICO charges. Like it's not making any sense. But hopefully he won't be standing in them orange flip flops and he'll be walking out of there. That's all I got, Dave.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Not the orange flip flops. I can't. So let's just take a listen real quick. We'll listen to some of this, what Harvey had to say.
With Diddy, because there is something about this, honestly, it doesn't make sense. Not this part. Cassie, who is the star witness in this case.
She is referred to in the indictment as victim one.
And everybody knows it's her because they reference her with respect to the beating video. So we know Cassie is victim one. She is going to display herself as Cassie. She's not going to be anonymous.
Right.
There was talk about that, but there are 3 other alleged victims. And somehow the feds are saying we will keep them anonymous. And that doesn't make sense to me.
What they are saying, what the feds have said is that victims 2, 3, and 4 will testify, but use pseudonyms, not even like initials. They're just going to have some pseudonym that they use when referring to victims 2, 3, and 4, who are expected
to
testify.
So the guy to my left could go as Jeffrey Goldstein, but we know it's not Jeffrey Goldstein because I'm looking at him right now.
Are you saying I could not be named Jeffrey Goldstein?
What are you trying to say? What are you trying to say, Harvey? For all sorts of reasons. You're not Jeffrey Goldstein.
You don't know who my daddy is. But it is going to be interesting once the trial starts. So you'll have Cassie testifying, a pregnant Cassie, by the way, testifying openly in court. But what they do with the other three, I mean, there are a number of ways they could do it.
I spoke to somebody connected to the defense, and all I got back is that's impossible.
Well, there are certainly people who are going to know who it is. I would imagine they have to let the jury see the face.
They're going to take the stand. And yes, because look, one of the things about testifying in a case is the jury isn't just listening. They are looking. They are looking at facial expressions, body language,
reactions,
hesitation, reactions, all of that. And, you know, if they, you know, put them in a different room and blur their face, that opens the door, if Diddy gets convicted, to an appeal.
So the other option would be to clear the court, but the media is still going to, you can't not have the media in there.
Well, I mean, they could seal it because, you know, but that doesn't make sense. I can't imagine they're going to seal this case. They seal, you know, certain child custody cases, guardianship cases, you know, Britney Spears, for example, that was all sealed. You couldn't go in. This is different.
Could they seal it because you're dealing with alleged sexual assault victims?
No, I mean, if you look at the history, at least, look, I don't know what the feds are thinking, but that's not what happens in court. And again, I just had a very cursory talk with somebody who said, you know, connected to the defense team, that's just impossible. It's not going to happen. I don't see how it happens.
I think it's really difficult to do, but the feds have some competing interests here. This is a case that involves sex trafficking. You've had child sex trafficking cases where you can blur witnesses' faces. You're absolutely right, though, that the jury will want to see the credibility and make those determinations based on body language and facial expressions. But there are other interests involved here. And if those other three victims want to preserve their anonymity and did that in exchange for cooperation with the feds' case against Diddy, they're going to try to accommodate them.
Well, yeah, but wait a minute. You don't think there is grounds for appeal if they blur their face and have them testify in another room? They're adults.
Yeah, look, I think Diddy's team will certainly see it as a ground for appeal, right? They can say, like, how could the jury...
Do you see it that way?
I don't know. It depends on what sort of restrictions and how they balance the competing concerns there. Diddy certainly has a right to confront the people who are testifying against him. That is a core constitutional right. And to the extent that's undermined in any way, it would be grounds for appeal. But the feds do have a case for protecting some of the anonymity of people to encourage people to come forward.
They never said in the legal papers how they're going to protect their anonymity. They never explained it. Yeah. So I just don't get it. I don't understand how they do it. And I don't believe they would go that far that they would open themselves up to an appeal on this.
The two most important things are that the jury get to see them and that the alleged victim, if it's a sexual crime, they have a right to not have their identity out there, right?
You can do a Jane Doe, because we've seen this before, right? Where there are Jane Does, even in civil cases, where the judge says, no, you've got to disclose. Right. Once the trial happens, you could do it as a Jane Doe when you file, but once the trial happens, you have to take the stand. You're the moving party in a civil case. Here, there are star witnesses, and Diddy has a right to confront the star witnesses. And the question is, if you remove them from the courtroom, which you can do with minors, but not a
with
situation.
Adults, yeah.
I just don't see it happening. I don't understand it. I don't understand.
Hi, Shamika Sanders from Staten Island. And I think it's incredibly brave for Cassie to take the stand in this case against Diddy, because his legal team has done so much in their power to change the narrative around her story. So who better than her to tell her story?
Yeah, I mean, it makes a big difference. You're absolutely right.
Whew. It's going to be interesting. I don't know how the other people are going to remain anonymous, but you know, we only got a few days. The 5th is right around the corner. And I think us even hearing about this jury selection, and I think I'm predicting this jury selection is going to take a couple weeks. That's my thoughts on it, but we shall see. Brenda, thank you so much for the super chat. Much appreciated. Hey Diva, do you think it's odd cameras are allowed in the House, Senate, and White House, but not in the Supreme Court? Federal courts should allow cameras, just blur out faces of witnesses if requested. I don't know. I wanna dig into a little bit more and understand, you know, the science behind this, like the information behind this. I do think it's odd, but it must be some reason, and I'm going to see if I can find out from someone, and I'll get back to you after I do some research as to why, you know, this is the way that it is. I'm going to try to find out something, but I do think it's odd. But thank you so much for the super chat. All right, so let's go ahead and roll right into the next story. Shannon Sharpe, I said it the other day, he's done. I think he's done. Let me get into this latest thing with Shannon Sharpe. Let me X that out. So Shannon Sharpe accused of choking a female production assistant at Fox Sports prior to the $50 million lawsuit, a report is saying. So Shannon Sharpe allegedly choked a female production assistant at Sports One years before he was accused of R in a bombshell $50 million lawsuit. Then NFL legend was accused of physically assaulting an employee in the workplace during his time co-hosting the Undisputed talk show between 2016 and 2023. Two insiders claimed in Front Office Sports on Thursday. According to one source, Sharpe and Fox allegedly settled with the accuser for several hundred thousands of dollars. I'm sure they're probably feeling like they got gypped now. No lawsuit was filed regarding the alleged incident. However, a representative for ESPN personality 56 denied the allegations in a statement to the outlet. There was no incident of choking involving Shannon on the FS1 set, his spokesperson claimed. On one occasion, he and a few colleagues were involved in some light physical interaction in a playful context. Fox Sports later chose to resolve the matter privately. Refs for Sharpe and Fox Sports did not immediately respond to Page 6 request for a comment. The allegations came to light after Sharpe was accused of armed battery in a lawsuit filed in Nevada on Sunday. Per the documents obtained by Page 6, a woman only identified as Jane Doe, but now we know her name is out, accused the sports broadcaster of SA-ing her multiple times between late 2024 and early 2025. Doe is allegedly in her early 20s, claims she was involved in a rocky, years-long relationship with Sharpe after they met at a Los Angeles gym in 2023. A years-long relationship, and it's costing him everything. He demanded complete control over her time and body, expecting her to be at his house on his schedule, at his command, whenever he called. Tony Busby, the plaintiff's attorney, claimed in the lawsuit. Doe claimed she attempted to break things off with Sharpe after he was allegedly heard having sex on an Instagram Live in September 2024. At the time, he claimed that his account had been hacked. She claimed the TV personality arced her in retaliation that October. She claimed the second incident occurred in January when he allegedly came over to her house under the guise of giving her a Christmas gift. A rep for Sharpe denied all the allegations in a statement to Page 6, saying he will not submit to what he sees as an egregious attempt at blackmail. Sharpe also responded to the accusations in a video posted via Instagram on Tuesday. The woman and Tony Busby won $50 million. What they're getting is sued for defamation and trying to take me down, the former NFL star said. My career is all about real talk and honesty. I know my family and friends know exactly what this is about, and I'm going to be out there telling you whatever I need to say, just like I always do. I love all you guys. Thanks. On Thursday, Sharpe announced he would be temporarily stepping away from ESPN to battle the lawsuit. So they're saying he has a pattern of behaviors. Leo, your thoughts?
Right. It really does have me thinking a pattern of behavior. That's right. I think he probably because I was also questioning if this was his kind of kink that he had to get off, he could have gotten these services professionally. There are things and clubs and groups and it's set up in a structural way so you can get out of it what you need to get out of it, but people don't actually get hurt. So in the way that he's been able to do it, he thought that he would get someone young and dumb. It's the power dynamic. He was with her so he could treat her horribly, so he could brutalize her and control her. That's what he wanted from her the whole time. And that was, and also within those communities, they sign paperwork before they even get started. NDAs and all this other kind of stuff. It's certain rules and regulations, because I've been reading up on it, in these types of behaviors. It's just not no free-for-all that you're supposed to go and get an OnlyFans model to be able to perform these types of services. He wanted a maid, a mule, and a mattress. Give it up for Erica De Niro TV. A maid, a mule, and a mattress is what she said. And that's what he wanted with this girl right here. And she couldn't say nothing. It was a power dynamic as well. It was and think about it too, as this thing progressed and more information comes out, it's that race play, sex play kind of thing going on. This is terrible for Mr. Shannon Sharpe. And it makes me wonder if it may not be a link necessarily with him having an enterprise of perversion, or what if the enterprise of perversion is within ESPN? And what if this is because he's been able to get away with this, what if this is the tip of the iceberg of other unsavory behavior from the other men at ESPN? That he's been allowed to get away with this. What if some other women come forward and say, well, yeah, this happened to me, but the real predator is so-and-so. So I don't know, just speculating, but oh girl, it ain't looking good. And as the time goes by, I'm gonna get off the line with this. As the time goes by, this thing is getting worse and worse.
Yeah. Woo, thank you, Leo. Wayne, your thoughts?
Well, Shannon got. He had no street smarts. I think the average man would have known that they was being recorded or leading questions like, you want me to say something. So he got, and he gonna pay for it. He gonna pay. I don't know where he gonna get 50 million from, but he gonna pay.
Felicia, your thoughts?
Well, boom, time's up. So I don't know if Shannon and his attorneys, because he got new lawyers today too. So now he got a team as big as Diddy's now. Yes, he does. So he had to pay up that money by 6 o'clock West Coast time today. I don't know. He was on a show last night, sitting on that predatory couch wearing some Mr. T boots. I'm like, come on, man. Look, there's no self-awareness here with this man. He doesn't have a clue as to what he's going through. He knows he's going through something, but I don't believe he really knows what he's going through.
Are you serious? Are you serious, Felicia? Or are you just giving us?
No, I'm very serious. I'm very serious. I've been thinking about this. Why is he not responding in a way that says I have really gone outside of my boundaries? And I believe a person who has played professional football as long as he had probably took some bad hits to the head, to the body. He's had multiple surgeries. Usually they come with painkillers for recovery. So maybe he's on some Percocets, he's on some morphine, he's on something. I also know for a fact that not only does he promote, but he also takes that erectile dysfunctional pills that he gives out. And they come with side effects as well. He also likes to drink his cognac. Yes, he does. And he's in his 50s. Am I supposed to believe that the person who can barely pick up his own leg to step on a sidewalk is fully capable, functioning, healthy body? No, ma'am. So I'm thinking he's on something, and he is all messed up, and I truly believe he needs rehab. I believe he needed to go someplace and go detox immediately. I'm offering you $10 million for what he has said is 30 seconds of bad movie filming. Word on the street is that there's a bad situation. Can't talk about it on this live panel. But there was some interplay here. The nice word they used was race play, but I can't go into detail. But it's most unpleasant. So unpleasant that Shannon himself felt shame when he saw himself depicted like that. And one of the things he said was that how they edited this video, it showed the worst stereotypes associated with Black men.
He did say that.
So when we talk about stereotypes of Black men, I'm going to talk about Black American men. We always get they're violent, uncivilized, uneducated, you know, like thuggish, buffoonerish, that kind of thing. So I'm putting all of these things together and I'm saying, wow, he got it when he saw the tape. I don't think he knows how to fix it. That's what I believe, Leo. And I don't believe that there are people in his circle. This is why I think he's had the third legal team in 1 week.
Oh, my God.
Because this Lanny Davis, yes, he has a phenomenal win record. But his template is coming out of the 80s and 90s. He's not with the modern day, how you pursue these kinds of cases. So they brought in a younger team of people. And I think he's hoping that they're going to be able to come to some kind of agreement with this woman. And I know many people do not agree with me, but and thank you, Leo, for breaking it down so beautifully earlier, that these relationships, these are transactional. There are rules, there are agreements. And if there was an agreement that there would be no backdoor, there would be no this or that, and it was violated, it is a violation. And so that's where this piece is it's in the gray area. And according to some folks on the street, this video supports this gray area. So I give it till Monday. I think Monday is going to be the day. And so as we have been anticipating the trial of Sean Combs, I think we're going to be looking at the clink, clink, and the charging of Shannon Sharpe. I'm done.
Thank you, Felicia. In my opinion, your thoughts?
I beg to differ. Okay. This is my thing. Okay. He's trash. Okay. He's trash. But the thing about it is, the more these text messages drop, I want you to abuse me. You sending videos of how you want him to abuse you. I want you to go hard on me. I want you to. These are the new text messages. Okay, they're just dropped. And as far as aggressive, name an NFL player we haven't seen in the public that has beat up. Chad Ochocinco beat up Evelyn Lozada, and we all saw it. Okay, she had a busted head, busted lip, everything. He ain't charged. He ain't blacklisted. He doing the same thing Shannon doing. They got a show together, the Nightcap. Antonio Brown, another problematic one. He ain't charged. He ain't clanked up. I think where our problem is at the point of when is enough enough? And where do we draw the line? I think it has been so discombobulated. You know what I'm saying? Like they put somebody in front of our face and say, oh, this is a victim. You got to believe her. And I'm a firm believer of believing the victim. But when I see evidence to say I'm a willing participant, then I don't see you as a victim. I can't. These messages weren't from one night. They was for many nights. I think they started in July of 2024. They went all the way up until January the 2nd, which is the same day she claimed this happened, of 2025. All I'm saying is we can't have buyer's remorse and then claim it's abuse. We can't tell somebody to do something to us and then say, I feel violated now. Because then where does they get protection from?
Savannah, your thoughts?
Wow, that was powerful. I think two things can be true at the same time. While we're all in agreement that Shannon was careless, reckless, and just a big old dummy fool, I also think that this woman was looking for a come up, and that this does have a lot of the characteristics that can classify this as a shakedown. I am in full agreement with, in my opinion, tonight, that you can't be a victim and then continue to be around the same person that is causing you harm. I don't buy that. I think there's a different type of hot girl that's coming up now, and as we all know, these young girls do stalk the places that celebrities are frequent, whether it's clubs, bars, gyms, studios. These girls, these young girls who don't want to work, who want an easy, quick come up. And it's the oldest profession in the history of mankind. And they just know they're quick and slick to the game, knowing that they'll catch one. And you don't have to be the best looking one. You don't have to be the richest one in the room. You just have to have one with a little bit of money and a little bit of power and a little name to yourself. And as we see with these other pros like the Evelyn Lozada and the Drea Michelles, who have been in that industry for quite some years and continue to be a hot commodity, as Drea Michelle now has a newborn by a child as well, a very young man. And she continues to be a beautiful woman, but they're vipers, they're vixens. And I mean, this story goes back all the way into even the Bible. But this is just a different type of female that we're witnessing now. I think she had this game plan all along. and Shannon just was the big old fool that fell hook, line, and sinker, and it's going to cost him. It's going to cost him dearly, not just only money, but his reputation. Although it wasn't, um, in the people in the circles that we know in the community, it wasn't as a strong, viable one. I think that Shannon's really gonna come down, and I also think that there was people that were watching Shannon, and he was getting too big with his podcast, because to be awarded $100 million contract, it was because you were doing something right. You were getting the views, you were bringing the people in, and that Cat Williams um, interview set the bar so high that folks like even Joe Rogan couldn't even touch at this time. So Shannon was gaining some power in the community, and somebody had to bring him down, and it was his own um, male member that did it. So I think there'll be more coming out, and more salacious stories from his stylist to the Michelles to the more young girls. So I have no empathy for Shannon.
Ooh, Julius, your thoughts?
Shannon Sharpe a hot mess. Now, I understand about role play. However, people have safe words, and you can still say no. And that needs to be respected. But it seems like Shannon doesn't like to respect that because it goes against his authority. So yeah, he's getting his long overdue hot mess. This is long overdue. And like I said, since we've been covering the story, he's a downhole, dirty dog ragamuffin.
Thank you, Julius. Katrina, your thoughts?
I'm with everybody on the panel. It's Leo, Felicia, Wayne. I mean, y'all, everybody. But what I'm saying is, Leo, I'm connecting with you as well, because like you said that the people at the ESPN, you know what they got going on. But then again, you have to go through Disney too, because Disney do not have a good background with their employees. A lot of employees at Disney has come up with some SA allegations. So it starts from Disney on up to ESPN. Shannon, as Wayne would say, he have a street sense. I tell you all the time, you have to have all three senses: street sense, common sense, and book sense. And he let his street sense and common sense left. Well, he wasn't even using his book sense, because anybody in their right mind knowing that if somebody's saying something on a text message and this not the way, or a voicemail, and this not the way we normally talk, I'm not responding. You're not gonna trap me up. And with her, why would you leave California when he left California to move to Nevada if you were so afraid, if he was doing all these things to you? First of all, I'm not going to follow nobody who choking me, because my first thing would be is I'm at the police station, or I'm getting my Smith and Wesson, and you already know what that is. So I'm not going to follow you if you abusing me or choking me unless I'm getting something out of the deal. So like you left, this man left California, moved to Nevada, but here you come right along with him. And I'm not saying she moved in with him, but she did move to Nevada. So you following the money. I don't know if somebody set him up. Maybe somebody set him up from the conversation that Cat Williams was on his show, and a lot of them got called out, and maybe they mad with Shannon for that. But then Shannon, you mess your own self up doing all these things and knowing this stuff is gonna come back to haunt you just because you paid these people off. It's still coming back. And then you was stupid anyway. If the girl didn't sign no NDA, that means that she had the right to go talk about or say or do anything that she wanted to do in the first place. And first of all, why of all these tapes, I'm quite sure it's more than one tape. But this is the tape that she said no on, and this is the tape that Busby got, not knowing that Busby Shannon also stood by Busby when he was suing these other football players. Him and Busby was friends. He was the one that set Busby up. So, I mean, you stood by Busby at that point in time. Now, Busby came back and did a circle round and coming now back for you. So, these people are just ridiculous, stupid, and sad. And I don't see no right for none of them. Not him, not her, not Busby, none of them. All of them sick. All of them in the same little sex pool. And they have those BMN, them SMAs, puppy play. They can go to these clubs, do whatever they want to do with these clubs. But you want to say all this crazy mess. And like I said, I think these people are watching too much TV because everything that they're doing is basically a TV or only SVU. These are some sick individuals, and all of them need to get exactly what coming to them. That's all I got.
Whew. I appreciate you. Listen, we're going to stay connected to both these stories because, like I said, the Diddy trial is coming up. I think, today's the 25th, 10 days, May 5th. It's on for him, right? So he didn't take the plea deal, but I didn't think he would take a plea deal. And I also didn't think he would ever dime anybody out. I think he's confident. I don't know where the confidence is coming from, but he's confident that he's going to come out on the right side of this thing. But I think them showing that Cassie video, I mean, even though I feel like the world's seen it already anyway, I don't know how that's going to help in this trial, but on his behalf. But we shall see, because again, the jury is always instructed to go by the evidence that you heard in the courtroom, not stuff you heard in the streets. And Shannon Sharpe, it's a shame that just last year we was all rooting for him and so happy for him. Was it last year or the year before that with his Cat Williams interview? But we was all rooting for him. And he went from that to this. Thanks, guys, for watching. Y'all know the routine. If you didn't hit that like button on the way in, hit the like button on the way out. Thanks for hanging out with me on this Friday night. It was a late train, express train, but we did it. Have a good night, everybody. Good night and goodbye. Choo, choo.